What's up, YouTube? What's up, infinite beings, infinite creators watching this channel right now? Thank you for being here. I send you guys love and light. And so, today we're talking about spiritual awakening experience, my spiritual awakening, part one. So, I'm doing this video to provide you guys with transparency and authenticity when it comes to these kind of experiences, what I've been through, my hurdles, what I've realized, and how my perception of the world has changed due to me being more receptive to this light within me, this infinite nature that dwells. Not really dwells, but that is within all of us. That all we have to do is tap into and to have that earnest desire to become. Now, I was deciding what's the easiest way to explain all this because there's so many concepts that I'm going to be talking about in this video that those need videos in themselves. So it's like there's so many concepts, and I want to make videos on every single thing, breaking it down for you so you can really understand it and grasp it. But I can't really go too much in depth. But I can go a little bit in depth. And I can show you what it felt like and what it is to experience these things. So I'm going to choose to do it now as a storyline, in a way. And, once upon a time, there was this little brown boy, and he encountered ghosts. That's me, obviously. And I encountered ghosts, and I believed in angels when I was growing up. So I already had this supernatural kind of feel to me, and that I would always believe that there was something else out there. Aliens, I always believed in aliens. And I also had an aunt that was really open-minded. And she would tell me all this about the universe, about the angels and spirit guides, all that stuff. And since I loved her very dearly, and which I do love her still to this day, that kept me with an open mind. But before even learning all that, I was still open, I was still receptive to take that in the first place. Because throughout my life, as I went to middle school, I would never believe all the BS that was being taught to me. I always felt like I was being limited, that I wasn't reaching my fullest potential. And actually, I remember that I can't explain it to this day. I mean, I couldn't explain it before, but I can finally explain it now. Is that when I was in 8th grade in middle school, I completely went through an introvertive stage. Okay, I used to be like this, really goofy, like full of energy type of kid that always wanted to make people laugh, acting dumb all the time. Until 8th grade came along. We came back from that summer, and I didn't feel like myself. I became more aware in a sense that I wanted to, I got more into psychology. That's all I could think about. Oh, when I go into high school, I want to be a psychologist. But I wasn't as extroverted as I was before. I was more of an introvert now. And now I could see that was one of my first initial spiritual awakenings, because you'll have many spiritual awakenings as you go throughout this journey, throughout this path of discovering your true nature, who you actually are, your true self. So I had my first spiritual awakening of sorts when I was in 8th grade, and I started to feel like, wow, what's going on? Who am I? This world is so, big and vast. There has to be something more. I was seeking to know God. What is God? All this stuff. And I tried going to church. I tried hearing people that were religious, and that just sounded like a whole lot of BS. All right. The Bible, yes, I found it a very interesting book, right? Because I loved literature, the way that you play with words to convey a certain message to someone. So I love that. And religion will be a whole nother video in itself, but I just want to say for myself and my path throughout life, I always felt like that was BS for me. That I didn't believe that couldn't possibly be the complete truth. And that couldn't possibly be the way to finding and knowing God. Okay? I felt like there was much more to that. So, that leads me into me coming into high school. In high school, Again, that curious mind of myself was there, supernatural, thinking of all that stuff. But I would barely, you know, research that. Why? Because we're in the education system, all right? That's an illusion too. And it works in a way that it sucks you in. So you're always like bombarded with what everyone else is doing. You want to catch up to society. You want to follow the trend. So I found myself in that trap. Even though I had that portion of myself that was like, don't do that, don't do this. Be by yourself, discover. So I was in between states, you can see. I would want to be by myself, just analyzing people, watching how they act, why they believe the things that they do. But at the same time, I wanted to be a part of the common culture. I wanted to have this big group of friends hanging out, talking, and making jokes together, going out to the movies, dating, all that stuff. I wanted to do all that. Who doesn't? That's part of our nature, our human nature, and to find out who we are. But I started to see that that aspect of myself of finding who I really was really important to me beyond all other things, beyond having kids, beyond going to college, beyond having a girlfriend, beyond being popular. That was something that was very prominent within me. But it didn't hit full force until I was like in 11th and 12th grade. That's when things started getting really interesting and really like mystical in a sense. Why? Because I started to do this thing where I really started to use my intuition. I went into overdrive. I started to analyze people in a way that was very different. I could see where they were going, how they were acting, why they were acting the way they were. I could feel their intentions. It was very weird, making me feel very unrelatable to many people, but also keeping me very quiet because I didn't know, to be honest with you, that I was correct. So I always keep all the answers inside. I would never share it to anybody. And I would always act like that normal kid that people expected me to act like. And another thing that I want to mention is that when I was younger, as a kid, I was lacking freedom. I had strict parents. They didn't really let me go out and enjoy myself like other kids because my grades weren't that good. But again, this goes back to me to that notion of myself that I could care less about school because I did not resonate with what was being taught. I didn't feel like that was helping me to reach my fullest potential of who I am. And it's kind of those things that if you look at it from a very physical perspective of what everyone else thinks, it's like, yeah, you were just being a lazy kid that just wants to have fun. But it was really coming from a higher aspect of myself that I was definitely not aware of back then. So that portion of myself that was lacking freedom when I was younger, in 11th, 12th grade, I was really starting to like crave freedom. I really wanted to go out, explore, have fun, you know, do all the things that everyone else was doing to have fun. Go to parties, enjoy life, enjoy the teenage life. So that started to inhabit my mind more and more, even even to a certain extent more than the whole finding the truth and spirituality. More than that. So what happened? I manifested that for myself. Thor, sorry, it's my dog. He's roaming around. So yeah, I started to want this more and I manifested going to parties. I met people that really were crazy about going to parties. So I started to go into hella parties. I started to really think about overindulging and that's all I was doing. Girls, drinks, smoking. I picked up a bad habit of smoking cigarettes when I was the one to make my dad stop smoking cigarettes when I was younger. And then I started doing it because I liked it. But in reality, it was all an escape because I was actually seeking freedom, but I didn't know what real freedom was. So that led me to become more aware even when I was partying. I started to do the same thing, analyzing people, seeing their intentions at the parties, and then came to a point, a breaking point, where you could say the spiritual timer went off within me. Yeah, it's crazy because I was partying and I physically felt like I could not party anymore. You could call it vibration or frequency. I don't know if you've heard of that, but my resonance when it comes to partying was not there. So before I used to feel like, the type of person to like the party and all that stuff. Well, from one week to the next or one day to the next, I felt like I was no longer a party person. Again, I became way more introspective, and I feel like just going to a library and reading books and just sitting there thinking about what is life. It became really intense. And that also led me to seeing numbers, synchronicities, number patterns all the time. So that became very relevant in my life. Everywhere I used to go, since I was always using my intuition to see what people were feeling and thinking and their intentions, I started to notice these patterns. Why? Because as you increase your awareness, you start to become aware of all the things that are already there. So I started to see the patterns, I followed the patterns, and that led me to all the concepts and the mysticism of the third eye. So that egoic portion, that personality of myself, that mind, right? The Oscar that everyone knows, started to think that it knew everything. That by opening the third eye, I would somehow become multidimensional like this and know all the truths of this world. Wow, was that very naive of me because I was in for a bunch of learning experiences that taught me that there's much more to it and that there's certain guidelines that you need to meet so you can finally gain this knowledge. One, for example, is being earnest, being true to yourself, in a sense, being humble with what you learn and loving and understanding others as yourself, not being biased, being unbiased and open minded with what you learn and keep on evolving. That's why I say it. That's why I made the video on that. Because if you follow just that one concept, that one rule, you will reach these new states of awareness. You will start to see the numbers, you know? And so by opening my third eye, I started to see a bunch of like shit. And it was crazy. I started to go to sleep at night and I started to be afraid of the dark because my third eye would open and I would see shapes and patterns and beings watching over me as I slept. I started to feel and see the energies within my being flowing through my hands. I started to see colors around people, shapes around people, and all I could really compare it to was that the psychics, I was enhancing my psychic development because of the third eye, but it wasn't leading me to that actual truth of why we're here and who we are. That's what I'm trying to convey to you. That just by seeking and skipping all the steps of evolving, that I was going to seek wisdom, that I was going to find it. But in reality, I did not find. I only found the fragment of what was a part of it. I only found an entrance point of, seeing past all the illusions, which helped me. And I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. And so everything that I learned did happen for a reason. All those countless nights of me trying to go to sleep but couldn't because I would be seeing and perceiving and hearing voices and frequencies too much was all for a reason. Was all for me to learn, to then be guided by those number patterns that have messages, to go do some energy work, energy healing. So I got led to doing that. I was, you could say, divinely guided by that higher infinite light portion of myself that's intelligent, that knows why I'm here. That spiritual part of myself that knows, guided me to go heal myself, to become certified Reiki healer, to do more discoveries and research about and putting the dots together. My intuition, remember, I was following the numbers. I was following, the new abilities that I was developing. I was following it with earnesty or earnestness. Yeah, earnestness. I was following all that because I believed that I was being guided. And it all worked out for the better because I healed myself. I brought my being back into balance. I was finally able to transcend the whole urges of, checking out girls and wanting to have sex all the time, as many kids do that crave it. I was able to transcend impulsive buying, clothing, you know, becoming less materialistic, and actually opening my heart to more love. Finally, being able to balance myself and being able to, yes, I knew wisdom at that point with the third eye open, and I could connect the dots. I could understand all this mystical knowledge, this sacred knowledge that we all are, entitled to have for ourselves because that's who we are. But I was able to understand all this and teach other people these things, but I wasn't able to love and understand them. That's a crucial part. This is the culmination point where everything comes together, the heart. Love is that ultimate force, ultimate power. So use it. Do the work. Open your heart. Be nice to every single person. Be loving, like if they were yourself, like if they were your brother and sister. But you'll get there. You might not be able to do that now, but it all becomes because everything is like a ladder which you are ascending into new states of consciousness and you're actually becoming. You're shifting into the reality of yourself where you're becoming past. You're becoming more than just the mind body, identifying with just that. No, now you're identifying with more of your infinite spiritual nature. All right? And that's how I started to see the world, and I started to see and feel with healing myself that everything was more interconnected. I started to even gain more knowledge. But now, leading me to where I'm at now, no longer being fearful of making these videos, that I am here to provide value and show you and share with you my wisdom, my knowledge of what I've understood. So you guys can at the same pace, right? Or at a quicker pace with this knowledge more easily and swiftly become this higher portion of yourself without struggling so much, without suffering. Also, with the fact that I'm coming from a unbiased and as transparent and authentic, you know, way as much as I can. I'm not trying to hold on to any prejudice. I'm coming from you completely open and sharing with you what I know, what I've experienced, and also telling you that if you follow and if you don't believe me, and if you let's say you're lacking trust, just believe in yourself. Believe before you see. Practice what I teach, what I guide you to, and you will see this for yourself until you reach a point like I have, where finally I no longer have to research anything anymore. Everything now comes from that stream. Remember I said you're merging, you're connecting with that higher aspect of yourself. So now you no longer have to search outside in the outside world and discover and put things together. No, now you're already in connection with this higher, your true self, and you're getting this wisdom, you're getting this knowledge, you're getting this love, and you're feeling the need to share. You're following your intuition, you're being guided, and now you just go with the flow. Whatever it is you need to experience and learn, you do it. But there's no hassle anymore. And you're able to finally differentiate emotion and emotionality. Now you can witness all your emotions, all your thoughts. My mind is finally clear. I don't think random thoughts anymore. I think now to use them as tools, my thoughts, to create my reality, to co-create. You see, you become more aware of your co-creating ability, the way you're able to manifest. Now I can manifest my day ahead of time in the mornings. I know who I'm going to meet. I know what's going to happen, the experiences and the things I need to learn that day. It's already shown and presented to me within myself. But you have to peel through all these illusions. You have to do the research, do the work, do the practice, and be disciplined and earnest within yourself. And then you reach these new states of consciousness and awareness. But we got to take it step by step. Like before, the beliefs, switching your beliefs to more worthy, more powerful, infinite, loving beliefs, not being so attached to the physical mind body of who you think you are because you don't know any better. Find out now. Thank you for being here watching this video, but find out now who you really are, and you will see that it will all come together. But you got to take that action, that step, to actually open yourself up and become more receptive to what already is awaiting you. You already have all the knowledge of the universe, everything. Can you imagine you have every single thing that you could ever want to know in existence within you right now? All you have to do is reach that level of awareness that makes you aware of that portion of yourself where then you actually become it completely. You literally become, you get me? Everything. And you realize that, wow, that was within me the entire time. Now, those are completely new heights, okay? I don't want to go too in depth, but I want to share with you that this is what it entails. This is the spiritual awakening experience. Okay? You're going to wake up like a crackhead many mornings, not knowing what the heck happened, okay? That's what I went through. And a lot of people do. But it's because they go through it by themselves, which you should. It's an awesome route, right? But whoever you have, whoever you've met, that really does care about you, that loves you, and that has already reached, these states and has gone through a certain portion of their development and their journey, take whatever you want, take value, resonate with it, and use it to your advantage. So then you know that there's always light at the end of the tunnel, and that it's not going to be as hard for you, and that you know you're going to get through it. And that me talking to you now is just confirming the fact that this is where you're headed, and that you're going to reach a point where you no longer have to hear these videos. And then if you do start making videos, it's because you want to help others, and because that you love them and you see yourself in them. So I love you. Hope you enjoyed my spiritual awakening experience and spiritual awakening part 1, and I'll see you in part 2. Tune in.